Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to the same old Arsenal Remontada episode. It's me, the Bourbon Good, and Chris, joined as always by team same old Arsenal, James Cook, towards the bottom of the screen. Cooks, how you doing, mate? You all right?
Very well, mate. Very, very well. Yeah, exactly what you would want on your Good Friday. Beautiful remontada.
Can you roll the R on a remontada?
I could try, but I don't want to. I'm not going to try, Chris, because I don't want to, spit all over my webcam, and that might deter some of our potential new viewers. So, as much as I want to try, I don't want to potentially get frosted wheats all over the webcam.
Fair enough.
I'm not endorsed by Kellogg's.
Can you give a remontada rolling of the R?
Probably not. No, we'll leave it to you. But remontada, Good Friday morning to all.
It is a good Friday. It's a fabulous Friday if you're an Arsenal fan, because on Wednesday night we beat Real Madrid at the Santiago Bernabéu 2-1, 5-1 on aggregate. And today we are going to have a little chinwag about that game. Let's get straight into it, shall we? Hello to everyone in the chat. If you would like to pop your questions in, we'll try to get through as many of those as we can. Mr. Cook, a bit of housekeeping. Mr. Cook has to disappear off because he's moving to, he's driving to some sexy place in the British Isle that shall remain nameless in case he gets spotted by anyone there. I shall not let him give you any more details. Let's focus more on the Real Madrid side of things. And I'm going to start off with you, James. Let's start with a vibes check, actually, because that might be quite nice. How are you feeling, or how have you been feeling since Wednesday night around about 10 o'clock?
It's just been disbelief, really, Chris. And I mean, I feel like I should have had a hell of a lot more faith in Arsenal to go there and do exactly what we did and make it as comfortable as we did. And I mean, honestly, I'm a little bit dumbfounded for words, because beating Real Madrid 5-1 on aggregate when everyone was writing us off when we got the tie, and we just made them look, bang average across two legs. There was all that talk about the remontada literally as soon as the final whistle went to the Emirates. And what I really didn't like was that it was almost coming across from Spanish media and Real Madrid fans that this was almost a foregone conclusion, like this remontada was going to happen, whether you like it or not. This is how it plays out. This is the narrative. And we just didn't let that faze us at all. I have to say, I was a little bit concerned when that domino effect of events happened, where Saka missed a penalty, they then got a penalty, and, situations like that in the past, I think they really could have rattled us. But we were just so solid. And to beat a team like that, the biggest team in the world, there's no getting away from it. They are the biggest team in the world, 15 times Champions League winners. And we've gone there and we've played we've played our football, and we've looked really, really good. We've had plenty of chances ourselves. And just as we were in the first leg, we were the better side, comfortably the better side. We didn't exactly dominate the ball at times, but when we did have the ball, we definitely created better opportunities than them. I was amazed at, quite frankly, how poor they were. And again, like the first leg, so much space to run into. I think they had a better midfield that started, Valverde, Tchouaméni, Bellingham was certainly better than the Camavinga, Modric, Bellingham midfield that we saw at the Emirates. But even then, we dominated in every single aspect of the pitch. So no, Chris, in answer to your question, I'm elated. I'm over the moon.
Amanda, give us a vibes check.
I was tearful. I honestly welled up. The last time I did that was when Gascoigne scored against us in the semi-final at Wembley. I had tears that day. And then Wednesday evening, I welled up. I actually don't remember watching a game like that, Chris, where Carl and I couldn't even talk to each other. The anxiety a couple of hours, actually during the day, was so bad, because you're 3-0 up. You would hope, wouldn't you, you would go through. But all this talk on social media of remontada and the biggest club in the world started to feel like, if we lose this, if they get an early goal, it's going to be chaos. The noise, they're going to close the roof. So my brain was like, come on, we're not going to lose a 3-0, not with the defence we've got. And then I was going, Kiwior had a good game first. Is he going to do it again? So I think it was complete trepidation with a little bit of we're not going to lose this. Don't be ridiculous. Be a bit more realistic. But just honestly, Carl's in the chat room. We couldn't even talk to each other. We had a very small dinner. We couldn't even eat. It was so weird. The anxiety was through the roof, absolutely through the roof. And then when it started, I won't go into it all because I know we will. But when it started, I felt slightly better. I felt we were cool, calm, and collected, which is what we needed to be. The next morning, I literally woke up, I don't know, 5:30, I don't know what, I couldn't sleep. And I'm literally watching everything. I had so many friends out there from different sections of my life. So I was watching all their videos. Some were on Sky Sports. I welled up. Thursday morning, what day was it? Yesterday morning, I was like, I welled up. What day is it? I don't even know what day we played. Wednesday, wasn't it? So Thursday
Wednesday
morning.
night.
Yeah, Wednesday night. So Thursday morning, I woke up and I was just like 5:30 in the morning. It's not normal for a 55-year-old woman to be looking at all these videos, looking at Saka, looking at Declan Rice, looking at Martinelli, that video 1,000 times, looking at the fans. I was in tears yesterday morning. I don't even know how I worked, to be honest. I actually was just buzzing, Chris, just emotionally buzzing, I think is the word.
Love it. Absolutely love it. For me, I actually filled my day with work stuff. So I tried to just on Wednesday completely distance myself from it. So I didn't really go on social media. I think it was my coping mechanism more than anything else. So I was in back-to-back meetings and all that sort of stuff. And then it just before kickoff. The management messaged me and she was like, I'm going to be a little bit late because of some stuff at work. So carry on with the food, blah 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 blah. Because I know the game's on, and I messaged her back saying I've been just pacing up and down the house for about half an hour, 40 minutes. We have a walking treadmill in her room that she has where she works, and literally I just got on the walking treadmill and looked at my phone in preparation, and then about 15 minutes before kickoff, that's when I actually sat down. But I didn't really sat down. I sat on, literally, people use the word literally too much, but I was literally on the edge of my seat in a praying motion. And similar to you, Amanda, kind of similar to what you talked about, James, after about 5-10 minutes, I thought to myself, all right, we're okay. We seem okay, but you can't say it out loud, because if you say it out loud, it commits it to the ether and then bad things happen. That's the life of a superstitious football fan. But as you were saying, James, we controlled that entire game, and you don't usually get very much tactical analysis from pundits in the actual, the commentators. But even they in the first half were saying Real Madrid are just putting the ball, getting out wide and just lumping balls into the box. They don't really seem to have a plan. And I think when I was starting to hear that sort of stuff, deep down inside, I was feeling comfortable, but my heart rate still remained high. So let's start with let's go through some of the big match talking points. Not really a lot of changes, James, in terms of the Arsenal setup. I mean, nothing really, I don't think, for us to go over, because it was a fairly standard side. Raya, Saliba, Partey, Saka, Martin Odegaard, Martinelli, Timber, Kiwior, Mikel Merino, Declan Rice, and Mars Lewis-Skelly basically is the best team that we've got. Madrid tried to, they mixed it up a bit by dropping Luka Modric and putting Freddy Valverde into the midfield alongside Tchouaméni. First 4 minutes, and Mbappe's got the ball in the back of the net. Did you have your heart in your mouth at that moment, or? I kind of knew it looked a mile onside anyway. But just talk me through initial sort of opening salvos of the match.
Yeah, I did have my heart in my mouth, to be honest, because it just felt like a taster of this is exactly what it's going to be for the next 90, 100 minutes potentially. And when that went in, I was nervous. But then when I actually felt a lot more comfortable when I saw the offside decision, because I was like, oh, okay, if this is what we're reducing them to, him being almost, was it 3 yards offside? He was miles offside, literally the proverbial mile. So we did really, really well in that instance. And it just kind of set the tone for the game, because from a defensive point of view, I don't feel like I spoke about Kiwior enough in the first leg and just how good he was. But I mean, for him to go to the Santiago Bernabéu and put in a performance like he did, I would say he was better than Saliba on the night. And maybe arguably across the two legs, he just didn't really at all, apart from that ever so slightly poor moment in the first 10 minutes of the first leg, didn't put a foot wrong. And he just dominated Mbappe. He was so good, as was Saliba, apart from, the moment for the goal that they scored. Obviously, he was fantastic. Defensively, we just looked so solid. I mean, we reduced them to absolutely nothing. And they got a goal, but realistically, we all know they shouldn't have scored at all across the two legs. And the thing with Madrid is they're a side that produce moments. They rely on individual talent. They rely on players like Bellingham, like Mbappe, like Vinicius to do something out of nothing. And a lot of the time that does pay off and it does work. But when you come up against a really structured team like us who, okay, maybe player for player, we're not as good as Real Madrid. And they've certainly, in some areas of the pitch, from an attacking point of view, got better players. But what I think we've got in abundance that Real Madrid don't have is brilliant tactical coaching. These players are coached within an inch of their lives and they all know their roles to a T. And I think that's what makes us such a good side, And that's why, although missing someone like Partey for the first leg against Real Madrid, who have we got? PSG. I'm losing my mind here.
PSG.
Even though
we dispatched Real Madrid already, mate.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, isn't it? But even though we're losing Partey for the first leg of that game, I'm still confident that because we've got such a good coach, he'll find a solution to make that work. So it's it just goes to show how far we've come from a tactical sense, from a coaching sense, and we're in a good position now that we've got the players to do it. I mean, bringing in someone like Kiwior out from the cold to play like that is just testament to the depth we've got in this side. So yeah, I've probably not answered your question there entirely, Chris, but I was I felt comfortable. After that, it felt a little more comfortable. But I would say, and I'm not going to jump the gun here, but when we obviously the penalty they got, that's when I started to feel physically sick.
Yeah, me too. I was stood up with my arms folded, saying that's not a penalty, that's a joke. I'm going to pick you up on one thing, but I'm going to get Amanda to answer it though. You said player for player, they probably are better than us. So Amanda, I'm going to read out the player for player comparisons, and you just say which one you think is better. So let's go left back. Miles Lewis Skelly or David Alaba?
Skelly.
Okay. James, if you can keep score here, Arsenal versus Real Madrid. Let's go left back.
You're honestly, Chris, you're probably best off James these because I don't really know. I don't watch Madrid. So you're best off asking James.
Kiwior against Rudiger.
Well, across these two legs, Kiwior.
Okay. Saliba or Asensio?
Saliba. It's Timber. It's Timber.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, fine. Valverde or Odegaard?
Valverde.
Okay. Tchouaméni or Partey?
Partey. It's Rice. I think it's Rice. It's Rice.
Yeah. Okay, so then we've got
Saka over. It's Saka. It's Saka.
Yeah, so you're literally going through the whole team because we were better than them over two legs.
Rodrigo,
anyway, so.
Hold on, let me finish. Rodrigo against Martinelli. We're nearly finished.
Martinelli. Rodrigo was terrible over these two legs. Like, where was he? He was one of the players I was worried about. He wasn't in either of the games at all.
I make you right, my friend. I make you right. And just to finish this off, Marino versus Kylian Mbappe.
Well, look. Okay, this is going to sound ridiculous, but if you're really pushing me on these two legs, Marino, 2 assists and a goal, it's Mikel Marino. No doubt about it.
Are you talking over two legs or generally?
I'm talking over these two legs.
This is what I was about to say. Yeah, this is
in
what
general,
I was about to say. So over the two legs,
obviously,
and this really talks to the way that Arsenal performed. There was Arsenal players, and this goes to James's point, that were organised, that were well coached, and that were more than the sum of their parts. Because when you go man for man, there are some of those ones in there that obviously you say Marino versus Mbappe isn't really a matchup. Rodrigo versus Martinelli, Rodrigo versus Martinelli probably over a length of the season isn't really a matchup, Amanda. But talk me through the penalty, because I didn't see the penalty that we were given on VAR, and I'm going to say props to the referee. I thought actually we had a strong referee on the night. I mean, he probably should have, in my opinion, sent off David Alaba within about 5 minutes for his horrendous tackle on Saka, but. Did you notice the penalty in real time? And did you think it was a penalty, Amanda?
So, no, I didn't notice it. Absolutely not. There was so much going on in the penalty area every time across a corner was taken or a free kick. Anyway, I felt sorry for the ref. Didn't see it. When the replay came, I went, oh my God, that's a penalty. Absolute penalty. I've got no doubts if that was in the Premier League, especially against us, that it would have been a penalty. What I'm quite surprised at is that rival fans don't see it as a penalty. They actually think it's the softest penalty they've ever seen. And I'm not only talking rival fans from one club, generally. And I was like, really? He threw him to the ground. He grabbed him and threw him. On the night, Ali McCoy's was driving me mad, and I like Rio Ferdinand. I don't think I've ever said that before. They were even saying it was. Now, when Saka took, I thought Ødegaard was going to take it, but Carl says they always do this. Ødegaard picks the ball up and gives it to Saka.
Yeah, they do.
Now, I was like, not keen, and I had the cushion over my face, and I was watching a bit like Carl went out the room. You know, listen, not one Arsenal fan on this planet can ever, ever, ever be upset with Saka and can be annoyed, but you can be disappointed. And I was so disappointed that I felt weird being so disappointed at Saka because it's such an unnatural feeling. So I was like, it was like my son, that I was so annoyed with him for doing something so silly, but I loved him dearly. So it was like a real torn feeling, but I was disappointed. I don't know what he was doing. I don't understand why you would try Panenka and do it on the side when it's supposed to go down the middle anyway. So it was a complete, and as an Arsenal fan, you'd be sitting there going, that's it. That's our one chance. And I feel like, I felt so torn, Chris. I felt like, how can I be disappointed with Saka? How can I even talk about him in a bad way? But I was disappointed.
Well,
And
think-
you know, if you're going to step up and do that in the biggest stadium in the world, you don't do a Panenka. If you're 7-0 up, I'll let you do it. But you blast the net. I'm sorry, you make it count. That 1-0, in 15 minutes or whatever it was. So yeah, I was disappointed. But it was a penalty for me, yeah.
So, James, same question. I think for me, I'm going to steal, because I listen to the Arsenal Vision podcast, so I'm going to steal Clive's comment. So I'm quoting here, but Clive made a really interesting point, and I kind of agree with him. I don't think it was the wrong choice to do that Panenka. I just think that it was executed poorly, because if you Panenka down the middle, goalkeeper's already committed himself, then, everyone's laughing. But James, was it a penalty for you? I actually think it probably was a penalty. And what did you think of the Panenka?
It was a penalty. There's absolutely no doubt about that. If that happened against us, we would. It did happen against us, but you know what I mean. If it was us that committed that, that's the world of football is up in arms. So definitely a penalty for me. I definitely didn't notice it in real time, and it was kind of half-assed appeals from us anyway. I don't think a lot of us our players felt we were going to get it. Marino put his hand in the air, but then got straight back up. So I was surprised that it was picked up on, to be honest. I was more surprised it was picked up on than the fact that it was actually given. And like you say, I think the referee on the night was sublime, because not only that penalty, but the other penalty incident later on, he remained firm. He got 95% of the decisions right. He didn't let the crowd affect him. Seriously good referee performance. Probably the best I've seen in a long, long, long time. And yeah, I mean, Ødegaard had the ball in his hand, but I knew full well that Saka was going to take it. And I, like you, Amanda, I was so disappointed when he attempted to do what he did. I mean, if you're going to try Panenka, do a Panenka. It was the equivalent of me playing basically any golf shot and slicing it really far to the right. It was just really poorly executed. And I think for me, it almost felt like he was envisaging the celebration before he'd You know, he wanted
Yeah.
that moment. You know, he's been out for a couple of months. He's probably thinking, looking around, going, yeah, I know what I'm going to do here. You know, this is going to be iconic. And maybe that just played into his mind a little bit too much. And I do think Saka has become the man at Arsenal. And he's you know, this game has just proven he's one of the best wingers in world football. He is world class. But you can't let that confidence turn into arrogance. And I think there was maybe that slight hint of complacency there. But it'll be a learning curve. You know, it's easy to forget that Saka is still only 23, as is someone like Gabriel Martinelli. They're kids still, and they've still got levels to go up. So I'm confident that this will be a learning curve. For me, you just want a Jamie Vardy-esque penalty. Low, really hard. Don't give the keeper a chance. If he saves it, fair enough, it's a good save. But just don't attempt something that's going to give them a reason to want to bounce back even more against you. But I was so impressed with the way he responded after that. And again, that could have been a catalyst for things falling apart quite quickly. But we didn't allow that to happen. We just, you know, shrugged it off, dusted ourselves down, went again. I was disappointed for him because I wanted him to have that moment. But as we'll get onto later, he got his moment in the end.
He did, and I think it shows to the character. We'll talk about that in a minute, actually, the character of the man himself. And let's call him a man. We talk about him being a star boy, but actually, this kid is growing up to be a man and a leader within this team. And he could have had his head down on that night, but he rose and he performed really, really well. And in that first half, Amanda, we pretty much dominated. I'll give you some stats, and then I'll let you talk about the penalty that never was for Real Madrid. But expected goals for Real Madrid in that first half, 0.11. For us, it was 0.93. We created some chances. Martinelli forced a good save from Courtois when he was put in behind. Big chances. We had 1. They had 0. They had 6 shots. We had 5. But again, they're not really taking them. They're taking pot shots from distance. Their goalkeeper made 3 saves. Ours made 0. So they've had 6 shots, but none of them on target. They passed almost double the amount of us, but we were quite happy to just sit, weren't we, in that first half? We were quite happy to let them pass the ball side to side to side. And then one of their many, many crosses comes in, and Kylian Mbappe decides to do a little pirouette around Declan Rice, which was, frankly, a ridiculous decision that it even got called. But, as people have said in the chat, good refereeing, and it took too long. But the right decision was come to. How were you? Were you pacing? Were you head in hands at that moment when Declan Rice conceded that penalty?
No, I wasn't pacing. I watched Declan Rice's response, and when he is what he says he is, he's an innocent player. He was absolutely livid that this was even given. So I had a little bit of hope there, because obviously it looked like VAR was actually acting like VAR should be acting and not against us, which I know everyone thinks. I think we've got an agenda. They've got an agenda, but over here. So obviously they've given our penalty. Now I think, okay, I'm going to give them their fair dues. They need to look at this, and they will look at this, and maybe they'll see what we all see and act like decent people behind VAR, because it wasn't a penalty. Just his reaction, it just showed to me exactly what had gone on. And then when they showed it, it was like, oh, could it be given? Could it not? And then I saw a different angle. I was like, this is not a penalty. Please, this is not a penalty. And I mean, I'll make Carl right. We said this, that should Mbappe have been given a yellow card for diving, because he was trying to win a penalty that wasn't. When it went to when it took so long, I started to get a bit more confident, because I thought, this has gone on a long time here for them to go, no, on-field decision's correct. So as it was going on and on, I wasn't actually frustrated. I was quite pleased, because I thought, right, he's going to be he's going to be shown. He's got to go to the. I kept going. He's got to go to the screen, and he'll rescind it. And not only that, we were even more. Wasn't we? We didn't want Declan Rice to get a yellow card, because if we did get through, he wouldn't be able to play. So that was double jeopardy for me here. I was like, if it's rescinded, the yellow card gets rescinded, which is so important. He went to the screen, and listen, we always say it. We always think they're much more fairer in Europe, referees, to us than over here. And just be honest, if that was a penalty, all of us would be sitting here going, it was a penalty. We got away with one. But that wasn't a penalty. And what I found fascinating, Mark Goldbridge was like, "That's never a penalty," and lots of his followers were like, "Well, if the first one was, then that one was." There's no comparison. Why are you? And I obviously lost my rag with a few of them while this was going on. So you don't even know football if you can't compare apples and pears together. It's ridiculous. So not a penalty for me. Ref made the right decision. I agree with everyone. I thought the referee was very strong. A couple of yellow cards he should have given to Real Madrid during the night, but generally it took balls to do what he did in Real Madrid. It took balls.
Yeah. And the halftime whistle goes, and I stood up, I said to the wife halfway there, I'm kind of feeling all right. Went off, made myself a beverage, came back, sort of feeling all right, James. And after the first 5-10 minutes of that second half, I still felt all right. And we were keeping Real Madrid at arm's length. And I think it speaks volumes about a performance. I want to zone in on a couple of performances, actually, before we get to the goals. Because Declan Rice and Thomas Partey, but let's focus on Declan Rice, were sat in front of our back line, nodding balls away. If it wasn't Rice, and it wasn't Partey or Kiwior or Saliba, we also had Mikel Merino heading balls away. They were so compact, they were so organised, and we were just quite content to say, Madrid, if all you're going to do is get the ball out wide, I think Rio Ferdinand said it in commentary, that's meat and drink. I mean, what did you make of Real Madrid's approach in that, even going into the second half?
Well, like I said earlier, mate, I just don't think they've got much structure to them. I don't think they've got much of a way of playing. They've got all these brilliant individual players that can produce moments under pressure when it counts. But when they come up against a side that is as well structured as we are, they didn't really know what to do, and they resulted to pumping it into the box. That's essentially what their second half was: just ball into the box, ball into the box, ball into the box. There was that slight scare where Bellingham got in and Rice made that brilliant challenge on him, but I was never worried from corners. Yeah, they have no height in that team at all. I mean, their only real aerial threat was Rudiger. And we just controlled them. We kept them at arm's length the entire time. We were happy for them to have the ball because they weren't doing anything with it. And then when they brought their substitutions on, I mean, who are they turning to? 39-year-old Luka Modric, Danny Ceballos of all people. We were fine. We were absolutely fine.
18-year-old Endrick.
Yeah, exactly. So when they made those changes, it got even more comfortable for us, I think. And I know, obviously, we've got our injury problems and we're still missing players, but look at the caliber of player we're able to bring on. Trossard is ideal for that type of situation, just a guy to keep the ball. You're bringing on Kieran Tierney in the dying minutes. You've got Ben White as well. So we've got strength in depth still, despite these injuries. And the benefit of having someone like Mikel Merino up top is, in these scenarios where we are going to not exactly low block it, but focus a bit more on the defensive side, is that he just goes, okay, I'm going to forget about the striking stuff for the time being. Whilst we're up against it, I'm going to drop back and play as more of a midfielder. And he knows that role perfectly. He knows both of the roles so well now. And I was a little bit dubious about Mikel Merino when he first started. There's been some games where I think he's been frankly awful, but he's just been so consistently good over the past 2 to 3 months now. I've got no doubts about him whatsoever. Whether he's playing in midfield or up top, I think it's more an understanding of the system and what is required of him. So however we line up in that first leg against PSG, if he has to drop back into midfield due to the Partey suspension, I'm confident in what he can deliver. And just going back to the penalty that they almost got in the first leg, I mean, that was real. If we're talking about that offside decision in the first 5 minutes being a heart and mouth moment, that was definitely a big heart and mouth moment, because I felt like everything was going wrong for us at that point. We got a penalty, we missed it. They got a penalty that was, definitely not a penalty. Rice gets a yellow card. He's going to be out for the first leg. And you just felt like that was the start of the domino effect of things going wrong. But again, fair play to the referee for getting that decision right, not allowing it to stand, because, I mean, going against that at the Bernabéu, that takes a lot of courage. But I think it's interesting what you were saying, Amanda, about Alaba, potentially getting sent off. I think there are a few players that could have been sent off, to be honest. Asensio, before he made that challenge on Mikel Merino, which resulted in our penalty, made a dreadful one on Martinelli, and he made some other poor ones throughout the night. Rudiger, how the hell was he on the pitch? Bellingham picking up Yuri and Timber and throwing him to the ground. There were a lot of yellow cards that they
Their
absolutely
frustrations,
should have
weren't
got. Yeah, and that's what it resulted into. Bellingham, I don't know if we're going to talk about him, but what a petulant footballer!
Go on,
Like,
then.
oh my god. Well, I mean, I don't want to say too much about it, but I'm a fan of Jude Bellingham, right? When he's in the England shirt, I want to see him doing well. But I thought he was so petulant on the night. You know, frustrations boiled over. He just came across as really arrogant to me, and the way he played, so the one on Yuri and Timber where he picked him up and threw him to the floor really frustrated me. But also that one where he's going down with Declan Rice, he just grabs onto his leg and tries to pull him to the floor as well. It's just like, you know, and did he even get a yellow card on the night?
I
I
don't think he did.
No,
But it was
Bellingham.
really
Rude.
interesting you say that because I don't know much about Jude Bellingham. I don't really, I don't watch European football at all. And I actually tweeted, "Why is Jude Bellingham being such a twat?" And I honestly got so many hundreds of replies saying generally he believes his own hype. Now, obviously, he's mates with Rice because of the England connection. I thought he was absolutely everything you've said, James. Absolute petulance, sport bright, tantruming, outrageous. I couldn't believe what I was watching because I'd been told Jude Bellingham is an amazing player. Well, I didn't see it the other night. I thought it was terrible.
No. Well, with Jude Bellingham, I think that struck me as the best kid in the playground goes to another school, and it turns out he ain't the best kid in the playground anymore, and he doesn't like that, so he gets a little bit spiteful. Rudiger got a yellow card in 85 minutes, which frankly was a travesty because he'd thrown on a couple of corners, he'd thrown people to the floor. His stamp on Mars Lewis Skelly was just completely unacceptable. But we've glossed over, and we've gone 31 minutes in, and we haven't even talked about the actual goal that Saka scored. This was the redemption moment of the game, James. It was a fantastic run. Props and kudos to Marino for the through ball as well. But when you actually watch that, when I watched it in real time, fist in the air, but then I paused and I was like, is he offside? And what was amazing with the commentary, I don't know if you guys noticed it as well, but normally like it's a bit of a split second, but it was almost like nobody was even talking about it. But the way he drifts across the Real Madrid line and then just curves his run and in, it's so clever. It's so elite in terms of movement. And then the finish, I said to the management, I said to her, now that's a Panenka, because that little chip over was fantastic. But James, thoughts on the goal itself?
Yeah, brilliant. I was so happy for him after that penalty miss. He deserved that moment. He really, really deserved it after having the injury, after playing so well across both the legs. You know, he didn't let that penalty miss face him whatsoever. He was still excellent after that. But you do have to really credit all of the players that were involved in that goal. Saka finished it off with that beautiful chip, but Ødegaard orchestrating the move. He had a good few key passes in there. Declan Rice was involved, and Mikel Merino with the perfect weight on that ball to find Bukayo Saka. I mean, it was a great team goal. Really, really well worked. Arsenal football to an absolute T, and the right man in the right place at the right time to make it 1-0. And you're in dreamland, aren't you, at that point?
Oh,
yeah, absolutely. Amanda, do you want to do a minute or two on the goal?
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, everything he said, and I actually, tweeted about Ødegaard. You know how much we love him, but I'd started to see that, he's not struggling, but that ball was beautiful. I mean, the 4 players you've mentioned are the 4 players that have been outstanding. And I'd said to you on this podcast, give Marino a chance. He's got to settle in. And what he's only done for us this season out of position, incredible. But the goal, Saka, I mean, that's what dreams are made of. You mess up a penalty, you're playing in the Bernabéu, your head goes down. And I'll get on to where I was last night later, but I didn't understand what some people were saying last night about the fact that he was terrible after it. I thought he played really well, considering what he'd just done. That could have affected anybody, but he tried his best. He tried to do what he always does, but they cut him out. That goal was just beautiful, and if you want anyone to score the first goal, it would be Bukayo Saka after what he'd just been through. The chip, his move is just fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. I think what we saw and what we've seen basically since he's come back is the difference between this Arsenal team with Saka and without. If you cast your minds back to podcasts that we did, live streams that we did a month, 6 weeks ago, we were all sitting here going, because what we're up against is low block teams that are we're in the league and it's slowly getting away from us and we're missing players, and players like Saka can unlock games. I think he did it even in the first game of the season. I can't remember who played first or second home game of the season, but he scored from outside of the box. But that's the sort of thing that he does. A low block team, and he'll cut inside and he'll top bins it. Absolutely. I do think, and actually before we talk about then the instant response of Real Madrid's goal, James, you were talking about Merino and the positions he takes up. I do wonder, I've heard people say this, whether maybe we're just better suited this season for the Champions League compared to the league. And I was just thinking about what I was talking about with low block teams. If you think about what happens when we come up against a West Ham or an Everton, and Merino is quite nullified because basically these teams just sit in. No Champions League teams sit in because they're all top of their respective divisions across Europe. So they come to play. And that enables us to be able for Merino to drop in when we're defending, but for us to also transition as well. And we don't really get that opportunity when we're playing the Ipswiches, the Leicesters, the Evertons. And so perhaps that's why he hasn't been as good. Can I get some thoughts from you? The question is around, do you think the way that we are set up and with the player availability that we've got at the moment, we are better suited for the Champions League for that reason compared to the league?
Yeah, it's a really good point. I mean, obviously, I think one of the poorest games Mourinho has had at centre forward would be that game against West Ham, where Graham Potter basically said, well, we looked at what they did against Leicester. Mourinho came on, we thought he was going to play up top again, and Mourinho was anonymous that entire game. But the thing is, I think we also have to credit the player as well as, the opposition we're playing and the system we're playing as well, because he has gotten better. There's no doubt about that. Like, if we were to play that West Ham game again, I'm pretty sure Mourinho would have a much better understanding of the role at this point and would be a lot more involved in the game and potentially fashion more chances. But the beauty of the Champions League is because it's a knockout competition. Teams want to show that they're the best. Real Madrid's left us so much space, but it also helped that they've got an attack that have zero interest in defending. Exactly as it was in the first leg. Mbappe, Rodrigo, Vinicius, even Bellingham, they don't want to defend. They just want to stay up the top of the pitch and wait for those magical moments to happen. And they committed so many men forwards that we were able to exploit those spaces. And that just got the best out of Merino. Because one thing he's really good at doing is finding his other teammates. 2 assists on the night in the Bernabéu. He's also really good at holding up the ball. He's a very, very intelligent footballer. I think, we've not given him quite the credit that he deserves. He's been absolutely fantastic, in these past couple of months. And, given the nature of the Champions League, given the stage we're at in the Champions League, and you definitely expect the same from PSG, that they're going to come on to us, they're going to start quickly. I mean, look at how expansive and open the games were against Aston Villa. They conceded 4 against Aston Villa across 2 legs. We're going to have chances against them. There's no doubt about that. We will have chances. So it's just a case of taking them. And I think we're being a lot more clinical than we have been in the past. So I'm confident. I'm very confident going into that game, mate. And I don't want to jump the gun by talking about that. But I think we've got every reason to feel good about how things are at the minute. And in answer to the question, I mean, these teams, they want to come out and they want to play. They're not interested in sitting in and playing for a point, It'd be interesting to see how PSG line up at the Emirates, whether they sit back and they try to be a bit more tactical and frustrate us. But have they got the players to do that? That's what I would question. Premier League teams are used to doing that. They do it a lot. PSG don't. They're always coming out on the front foot. So it'll be an interesting tie. A very interesting one indeed.
Well, what they tend to do, and we do need to, let's try to spend as little time as possible on the Saliba era, because I think this is a podcast that's a positive podcast. But just on the way that PSG set up, I watched bits of that Villa game and they commit their fullbacks quite high up the pitch. And I seem to recall when we beat them earlier in the season, Hakimi had a really, really good effort that I think it might have been saved by Raya or just off the post or just went wide. They will commit their fullbacks. And if they commit their fullbacks, we've got Saka and Martinelli there, right? But Amanda, let's talk about that mistake. Raya rolling the ball out to Saliba when he doesn't really have anything on. But for me, I think Saliba's got to be a bit more aware there, doesn't he?
Yeah. I mean, look, defenders make mistakes. The mistake you don't want is when you're, at the Bernabéu with your top class defender doing that. But if anyone knows us like we do, that is such an Arsenal goal to give away, isn't it? Because they're not going to score any other way. They're just not good enough. They were given it by us. And you can't even believe we're saying this about Real Madrid. It's a mistake. I'm not going to crucify the boy like I wouldn't crucify Saka about it. But he has to be more aware, and maybe something in that happening will sort of make him more aware in the next few games, because obviously it didn't really matter in the can you believe we're even saying it at the Bernabéu, that the fact they scored didn't even really matter, did it? It took away the fact that you couldn't enjoy Saka's goal because it was like a minute later or whatever. But no, he has to be more aware, and they make mistakes. They're not robots. He just lost concentration for a split second. It was silly. You knew they were going to score, and you were disappointed.
Yeah. James, I know you've got to go in a minute, so I'm going to let you have a little bit of a segue into the Martinelli goal before you disappear off. But can you give some thoughts on the Saliba? Then give us your Martinelli thoughts, because I think let's go from the negative to the positive, because I really, really enjoyed that run that he made. And then final question to wrap you up is, do you give a monkeys about Ipswich this weekend?
So, I mean, it was frustrating with the Saliba one because, like Amanda said, it's vintage Arsenal, isn't it? Do something absolutely brilliant and then immediately go and ruin it by doing something like that. And it's very uncharacteristic of him. He's so spatially aware virtually all of the time. So, to see him do that, frustrating. When they got the goal, I didn't believe, though, that this was the start of some sort of magical comeback, because what were there, 20 minutes left, and they'd been so bad all game. I would have been amazed if that sparked them into life to score another 3 goals. So I wasn't worried at all in that sense. But I was just a bit upset that, it felt like we might not win the game now, because we deserved to win the game on the night. Win the Emirates was fantastic. Winning the tie overall was great, but I wanted to win at the Bernabéu. Not a lot of teams can go there and say that they've done that. Particularly English opposition travelling there. So I was, a bit miffed about that. But then, like you say, Chris, that Martinelli goal tops it off in the very last minute of the game. Again, it's so good from Kiwior to win that ball that starts off the move. And then Mikel Merino, perfectly timed run from Martinelli. He can't be brought down, and he tucks it past Courtois. And how many times has Martinelli been in that sort of position this season and just messed it up? He does that a lot. He gets into those areas a hell of a lot, but he executed it to perfection. It was Henry-esque, and certainly Arsenal fans wild, and it's no less than we deserved. Beating them 5-1 on aggregate is no mean feat. We've done brilliantly, brilliantly well. It's a statement in Europe. I mean, what more have we got to do to say that we're the real deal now? And look at all the players we're missing. We've still not got a striker. We're playing Mikel Merino up top. What other side can say we're going to take one of our midfielders and we're going to transform them into a striker, and it's actually going to work? So we've got options. Mikel Arteta has done brilliantly to get us into this position. I mean, if we finish second in the league, Champions League semi-finals, I'm still confident we're going to get through to the final and we can win this thing. But it's been, given the circumstances of the injuries, this has not been a total train wreck of a season by any means.
Yeah. Do you give the monkeys about Ipswich?
Ipswich. Yeah, I do actually. I want us to win it because they're one of the teams that we're capable of beating, and we need to solidify second. I still want to finish as high in the league table as we can do. And this is one of those games where we need to win. We've got some tougher games coming up in the league. We've got Newcastle at home. We've got Liverpool away. They're games where we could potentially drop points. Whereas Ipswich away, Southampton away, we've got Bournemouth at home. We've got Palace at home. These are the games that you need to win to really solidify our position. So
can I have your prediction, James, before you shoot off?
I'll go 2-0.
Right, and I need Palace as well.
I'll go 2-0 in that one as well.
So 2-0 to us, yeah? Away to Ipswich. Okay. Real Madrid, or should we do that next time?
Real Madrid, we've
not
been
Real
there.
PSG,
We've already beaten them.
No, we'll do that in a few weeks, I think.
Have a lovely Easter cookie.
Okay,
Enjoy.
thank you guys. See you later.
See you
Bye.
soon.
Cheers.
Bye, bye,
Bye.
bye. And then there
Let's
were
talk a little bit.
two.
Then there were two. Let's talk a little bit about that Martinelli goal. I absolutely loved his run. His diagonal run was spot on, and you could see, like I could see that run. James picked out the ball from Kiwior. I'm going to say as well, I'm going to give some flowers to Kiwior because that man has been superb to
I
basically
was
come
going to
out
talk
from the
about him.
cold
Yeah.
and to put in the performances that he's put in. There was one moment where I think Saliba won the ball and it went out for a corner, and he turned around and cheered, and Kiwior was in his face cheering, and they kind of chest bumped. And I thought to myself, this is a partnership, and he has looked composed. His passing range is very impressive. Like his ability on the ball, I'm very impressed with. I don't want to be a hindsight merchant here, but I've always been a little bit like Kiwior's. There's a good player in there. It's very difficult if you're a footballer to just come in from the cold and instantly be brilliant.
Which is what
But
Lee's
he's had a
saying.
cadence of games now, and he is superb. And I have got absolutely no worries about him whatsoever. Let's talk about Kiwior, and then talk to me about that Martinelli goal and any thoughts you've got around it.
So the thing is, you remember when, like, obviously we were all devastated when we saw Gabriel pull up, and we all went, "Oh my God, Kiwior against Mbappe." We were all doing it. Everyone, wherever I was on social media, we were like, "Jesus Christ, another injury, not Gabriel." Blah 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 blah. Give him his dues. I mean, honestly, outstanding over both legs. Made one or two mistakes. Well, Saliba did. He made a far worse mistake than he's done. I just
Can I
feel
just for 2 seconds? Also, in the league, don't you think, like in the draw that we had against Brentford, I thought Kiwior was great. I think he's been great across all of this little patch of games. Carry on.
maybe Kevin Harrold's got it spot on. He's playing in his natural position because that is his natural position.
Yeah.
And I think that may have made a difference. And the fact that, you know, we don't know what goes on behind the scenes. We don't know how much of a family they are and how much confidence the boys have given Kiwior and said, you can do this. You know, we've got you. Declan Rice and Partey sitting in front of that back four reminds me of Vieira and Petit. You know, Declan is Vieira. I want to talk about Declan Rice in a minute, but big up to Kiwior, big up, and confidence will go sky high, and we need it because Gabriel. I don't know if you saw on Instagram. He had his whole family over and he was watching, and he couldn't move obviously because his legs in that thing to get it better. I don't know what it's called, and he must have been so proud as well, and how upsetting as well for him that God, you know, please God, we get to the final that he's not going to be playing because he has just been magnificent this season, Gabriel. Which again, there's something else I want to talk about on that. But the goal, you know what, Martinelli, that is old Martinelli. This season, this is what we've been crying out for. The fact that he had a foot out of place at Fulham and everyone crucified him. Us as well, you know, you shouldn't be having a foot out place. We would have beaten Fulham. Who knows then the league? You don't know with the rest of the points what we would have got. However, he has worked hard. He has worked tirelessly. He has sat on the bench. We've never heard him moan. He's been brought on and he's tried his best. But one of the things that Anne said on our show was he runs with his head down, and that's not what he should be doing. I think it was Anne or Alan said it. And I thought, you know what? I've been watching that lately. He does. He runs with his head down. He didn't run with his head down. He was gone. And you know what? In my head, I was thinking that he's going to score. Now, I haven't felt like that for months, really, when he's got the ball and he's on. I haven't felt like that. But I had a little feeling as he was coming in doing his Thierry Henry-esque move. This was in the goal. And I was not surprised when it went in. And that is when I jumped up. Saka's goal, I didn't because I thought I was in shock. But that is when I knew we were through to play PSG. And that, he deserves that. We deserve that from him as well. That is the performance that we've been waiting for. That is the old Martinelli. And that is why when people go, no, we've got to get rid of Martinelli in the summer, he's done. He's not done. The boy from Sao Paulo.
I think there's a few things I want to unpick in that. So I think Martinelli works well when there's green grass in front of him. So that some of that depends on the opposition as well. Like if you think about Everton, the low block teams who just sit on the edge of their box, and he's got not a lot of space to work in. I think he does sort of get to the byline, get his head down, try and put a cross in. So I think that's one part of it. So again, Champions League works well for him. I think that sprint speed, which is another thing that you mentioned, is a really, really crucial part of his game. And the fact that he's doing that in the 90+ minute is really positive vibes for me, because it shows he's fit. This guy is fit and he's firing on all cylinders. And that's what we need at this time. We need a fully fit Martinelli, and we need a fully fit Bukayo Saka, and he's getting there. But what I saw on Wednesday night, which was really impressive as well, which I've heard lots of players and other teams talk about, the defensive work that those two wide forwards do as well. Like the amount of times where we were sat into our shape and you've got Martinelli or you've got Saka that are doubling up and sprinting back to do their defensive work and help out either Timber or Marsdale-Skelly. It makes it really, really difficult for the opposition. So the work that they do coming back towards their own goal, as well as going forward, I really do think should be lauded. But let's wrap up the Real Madrid stuff, and we'll do a minute or two on Ipswich, because I think like just some general thoughts ahead of the weekend. And let's wrap up with the man of the match, because Declan Rice is transcending what I think even we thought he was capable of. And he's picked up both man of the match awards on both of these home and away legs. And you can see he's sort of smiling. And the interview that he gave afterwards was fantastic, because he was like, we have a belief in this squad. We have a belief as players. We just know we're going on to big things. We're not saying it might be today, this season, but we all have such belief in ourselves. You can see him getting bigger and stronger and more influential in this Arsenal team. And he just put in a masterful performance, winning tackles in defence, popping up in spaces in midfield, turning over the ball, direct running. Like, he's got everything. Talk to me about Declan Rice.
I don't know what else to say. Honestly, Chris, we had Anthony Gow on the day after we signed him. What was it, 2-3 years ago? I don't even know how long he's been here. And I said to him, what are we getting for 105 million quid? And he said, you'll get your value and more. And I was like, 105 million for Declan Rice? That's a lot of money. 205 million for Declan Rice is not a lot of money. He must be the best defender in the world. Defender. I can't even speak this morning. The best midfielder in the world. He's absolutely, as Avon said, half price Rice. We all sing the song. We all know. And we're all so proud of him. What a player. What a man. And yes, possibly the next captain, as we know. A little bit different to the way Ødegaard is. I don't care really who's captain. He acts like a captain on the pitch anyway. Incredible, magnificent, wonderful. And I know you said about wrapping up, but we've got lots of questions and lots of other things to get through. So I'm going to try and do it very quickly. I don't think there's enough words to say about Declan Rice. He was to be man of the match in both, to come from where he's come from. And in his interview, he said what he said at the very beginning when he joined us. He went, I joined this club because I could see the upward trajectory. There we go. I've said it right. He said it then and he's saying it now. If we didn't have those injuries and we didn't have certain VAR decisions against us, we could be on here for winning the league and the Champions League. And the reason we do well in the Champions League, Chris, and I discussed this last night, and I just want to get to that in a second, is that you low block against us, we can't play you. It's not in us. You give us space, we will beat you. I'm so confident against PSG. I was different before Real Madrid. I was like, we'll be out. I went to the Emirates against Real Madrid really relaxed because I didn't expect anything. I thought Mikel Mourinho against Real Madrid, and you think we haven't even got a striker. Kiwior and all this. But they gave us so much space that, to be honest, we could have scored many more at the Emirates, and we know that. But magnificent. I just want to do something that we did on the same old Arsenal Twitter account. I don't know if you've seen it. They posted, who was your man of the match? And in one word, sum up your feelings. Okay, I'm going to read them to you. Jobo, Giovanna, number 1. Declan. Did you know we got him half price? Her feeling was emotional. Balani A. Sorry if I say these wrong. Man of the match can only be Declan, but a special mention for Timber. My daughter disagrees and said man of the match is Timber. She was ecstatic. Taxi G. Man of the match has to be Declan Rice, but huge honourable mentions for Kiwior, Timber, and of course Marino. His word was proud. Diane Hacker, Declan, overwhelmed. And Just Me, which was Julian White, bend it like Declan, and instrumental. Virtually everyone's gone for Declan Rice. I think that says it all. Unbelievable player.
I think that is a good sort of straw poll of how most Arsenal fans were feeling on his performance. But all of them, to a man, put in a shift over the 2 legs and thoroughly deserve to go through. And we're through to play PSG, which we'll do more preview stuff as we go through the next week or so. We've got Ipswich this weekend. Ipswich are currently 18th. They're 14 points behind West Ham. If West Ham, who play Southampton this weekend, win, they'll be 17 points behind. There's only 6 games remaining, which means Ipswich would have to win all 6 of their remaining games and hope that West Ham lose all 5 of their remaining games, as it will be if they beat Southampton today. So it's an interesting one because Ipswich will still have hopes and they'll fight. But do you want to do just a minute or two on what you think will happen this weekend and a little bit on Ipswich, and then we'll get some questions before we wrap up?
I'm a little bit like you, though. When you said do you care? I don't really know, I'm afraid. I don't, but we should, because Newcastle are coming up behind us, as Forest as well. I hope we win. I won't be distraught. I mean, if they low block us, it's going to be the most boring game on the planet on Sunday. God knows who's going to play, but there are very, confident people in the chat room that think we're going to win.
I don't think they can low block us, though. I don't think they can low block us, though, because they have to try and win the game to give themselves any faint hope. So
the problem you got, Chris, even Saka said, I'm not going to sleep tonight. So that's Wednesday night on to Thursday. Travelling down to Ipswich, Saturday tomorrow, probably, if they're not there now. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to predict 2-0 to the Arsenal. Exactly what James did, actually, funny enough. What about you?
Yeah, we'll do a hat trick of that, because I can see what's going to happen. It's the sort of game where Ipswich will come at us, and if we have space, then we'll pick them off. But we've got such a strong defensive unit that they can keep clean sheets. So I think it'll be tough for them. I'd take a 2-0. I got a feeling that we hopefully should win that. I think I've been saying for a while we need to win X number of games. I think from our remaining 6 games, I think we probably only need to win 3 to get that second spot, maybe 4, because Newcastle are playing Villa tomorrow. So if they lose that one, then I think, we only need 3 wins. So we need to beat one of Palace, Bournemouth, Ipswich, Southampton. I mean, Liverpool don't care, and then Newcastle. So I've got a feeling that 3 out of 6 is probably enough. That might happen tomorrow. Oh, sorry,
that's
on Sunday.
That's the thing, though, Chris. We've got Sunday and Wednesday. Then we get a whole week off to PSG, which was lovely for us that Palace got through and the game was brought forward. It's really helped us. It really has. We're all going 2-0, but I need to go back to the match a sec. We have to talk about Miles Lewis-Skelly bossing the whole of the Bernabéu. That kid, I mean, I don't understand how at 18 years of age, he's that good. He's that good and that confident, not scared, not overawed by the whole situation. I mean, if I went out onto the Bernabéu pitch now, at any age, surely you would feel overwhelmed, a little bit like, oh, wow. Not one part of his game did you look at that like, he just goes and plays football. I don't think he cares where he is, does he, Chris?
Nope. He's a fantastic footballer. I don't think any of us really could believe the impact that both he and Waneri would have this season, but how valuable and how beneficial they're going to be for us next season. I'm looking at, Vamos. That was brilliant. If you haven't seen that, He after we scored, I think it was Saka's goal. Lewis Skelly was seen jogging up and down the touchline, smiling and saying "Vamos" to the Real Madrid, the Madristas, which is quite an amusing little side note. He's a fantastic footballer. We are lucky to have him. The fact that we're missing Calafiori again, and we aren't missing him, if that makes sense, is testament to this young man who, at this rate, is going to be our left back for the next 10, 15 years. Let's certainly hope so. Amanda, do you want to get some questions and then we'll zip off?
I just want to mention Partey. The one downer, even Declan Rice had a go at him, James, calling you Rice. He was magnificent. He's been magnificent as well. The one downer in it, the yellow card. Silly yellow card as well.
Silly one. He misses the first. I think there's a question actually. Do you want to just call it up? I think there's a question about that. How do we replace him? And I'll answer that, because I think the way that we replace Partey in the first leg is he'll drop Rice into the 6. I think he'll play Merino left 8, Ødegaard right 8. I think he'll go Trossard as a false 9 with Martinelli and Saka either side of him. Now the Trossard thing, many people will say it hasn't really worked, and I agree. But when it wasn't working, 6 weeks ago, we had Sterling on the left and a 17-year-old Waneri on the right. Trossard with Martinelli and Saka either side of him, it's going to have an impact on upping his game and his performance levels, I hope. What about you? Do you think that's the way to go?
Yes, or push Skelly up into midfield. I can't think. Back. Yeah, I know, but I'm just gutted about it, to be honest. I don't know what he's going to do. Trossard will play. I think Trossard will play Sunday. But just quickly, just want to go on to where I was last night. So I was at my work's award ceremony last night, and I got an award. And as I collected the award, I dedicated it to Declan Rice and got booed by one of my West Ham fans. But interestingly, before this ceremony, the award ceremony, I was talking to an Arsenal fan and a West Ham fan, and I want to ask your opinion on this, and I want to ask the people in the chat room's opinion on this. We started talking about Gabriel and Saliba, and I said that Gabriel has stepped up this season, and he's even better than Saliba. And both the Arsenal and the West Ham fans said, absolutely not. Saliba is top draw. I said, but so's Gabriel. And this is what you're missing. What I'm just saying is that he has gone to that level now. So, Chris, do you get what I'm saying here, or do you not agree?
Yeah, Gabriel's been our best defender this season. He's our leader. He's the rock. He's the one that he's the mouthpiece of the duo and the quartet. If you're going to count all of the centre-halves, his impact from our set pieces. So he scores goals for us. He's a threat. We've lost that threat with him not being in the team. Saliba is our Rolls-Royce silky defender. Gabriel, it's like fire and ice. Saliba is the ice. Gabriel is the fire. And for us this season, the fire has burnt hotter than the ice has been cold.
And that's what I said. And, though I was adamant. I said, no, you're not listening to what I'm saying. I'm saying Gabriel has absolutely stepped up and has gone above in my eyes. I mean, and I'm going, oh, you're just going on the mistake. Like, no, I'm not going on the mistake. I generally feel Gabriel has been slightly better than Saliba this season. And I can see in the chat room as well that people are agreeing. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. We have got loads of questions. Where do I even start?
We're lucky to have both, aren't we? So
yeah, we are. We are very lucky to have both. But I was adamant that it's Gabriel. Right. Kevin Harold, why was Bellingham or Rudiger not punished for their blatant fouls?
I just think you don't do it that much in the Bernabéu. I think we got away with the really big decisions. And I think they get, like in Madrid, Real Madrid get away with certain numbers of decisions. And that's even with a decent referee as we had on Wednesday.
Okay. Debbie, so sorry. We had already just discussed this about PSG. We also have to see who's fit from Ipswich and Palace, because God knows with our luck, something could happen. So thank you for your question. We did already answer that. Carl said, should we offer Partey a new contract, which seems to be going around social media a lot at the moment?
What do you think?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. Yep, I do. Give him another year.
His injury record is such that the older that he
Not
gets,
this
the more
season.
injury prone he's going to be. Yeah, but he's been at the club 5 years, and he's had, this is what, maybe 1 or 2 seasons. More often than not, he has an injury prone season. I think also, I'm not really going to talk about it in much details, but there's some off the field stuff that I think probably the club will just be happy to
Offload.
park and let offload.
We'll see. Has Martinelli raised his game in the last month?
Absolutely. Like, he has been, if you think about the Fulham game with Saka's goal, Martinelli's impact. If you think about, I think he was looking bright against Everton. I think he came on against Everton. He's looked bright against Brentford. He was good. He was one of our best players there, and over the 2 legs as well. Brilliant. But as I said earlier, both defensively, as with his tracking back, and going forward as well. He's been such a threat.
Kevin Harold wants to know, will we get a change of captaincy for the start of next season?
What do you think? I have a very binary answer on that one, but what do you think?
No, I don't think we will.
No,
I don't think Arteta works like that, to be honest. And
No,
why do you can still be a captain, you just don't have to wear the armband. Right, Cole said, I've assumed that we're going to sell Kiwior in the summer, but should we be keeping him at the club?
I think it depends on if he wants to go. And the problem we've got is that if he plays every single game between now and the season, imagine if we got to the Champions League final as well, and he can play in the Champions League final, he's going to be absolutely delighted at all of that game time. And he's probably going to go to the club and say, I need more game time. I've got the taste of it now. So what are my options here? And the options the club are going to say to him is, well, you haven't really got an option, because as soon as Gabriel is fit, he's coming back in. And then I suspect this will then turn into Arsenal's. This isn't what's happening now is in Arsenal's favour, because if there are clubs interested, then we're going to make a fair old amount of cash on him, because we can go and say, look, this guy's played X number of games. He's in form. He's looked brilliant. He's a Polish international. Hopefully, we're even able to say, and he's a Champions League winner. So we'll take 35 million for him, please.
Yeah. Okay. Is Declan playing better at left 8, enabling Martinelli to play better on the wing?
Yes. Easy. You?
We got 2. I'm going to do 2 more. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. Should this result elevate Arteta's reputation as a manager? Should the Arteta out fans just shut up and back him now?
I don't think you're ever going to acquire a minority of Arsenal fans that just are just not a fan of Arteta. I think his reputation is already very high in the global game. I think people already recognise that he's a very, very talented man and a talented manager. I think that's already existed. Nights like Wednesday night help to build the reputation even stronger, but I think he's already seen as one of the best coaches in Europe. So yeah, that's my view.
Okay. And the last one, who's going to win the Champions League?
Stop it, you. I'm not answering that.
I think we are. I actually think we are. I was in the Stade de France the night we lost to Barcelona. I want to play Barcelona and I want to get my revenge back. That is for sure. I think we do have to give a massive shout out, though, to the fans in Madrid. They were the highest you could possibly be in a stadium, and yet there were pockets of times that we could hear them. I know I had FOMO. Yeah. I had fear of me. I had so much FOMO that day. I know we were all both working. I was trying to focus as well. But watching them singing in the square, it was just incredible. And they were so great on the night, plus after, plus all the videos. It's just been incredible. And these are the nights that you actually dream of. And do you know what, Chris? We've got to go through it all again. You think the anxiety was bad against Real Madrid? Jesus. And now we go to the Emirates with a little bit of a different feeling against PSG. Because against Real Madrid, I was just looking forward to seeing the best team in the world and seeing if we could just keep it at 0. Just try and, not 0-0. Go to the Bernabéu 0-0. You never know what's going to happen. Now it's a different mentality. Now I'm going to go to PSG and not look forward, not look forward to it, but be quite stressed. So big up to our
me
fans
too.
out there, and big up
I
to
think as well.
everybody that. Go on.
I was going to say, I think as well with PSG, because we've already beaten them this season, there might be a bit more of an expectation. Whereas I'm the same as you with Real Madrid. I was like, my expectation is essentially minimal. So, let's just see how we get on. Whereas people are now going to be like, oh, it's a semi-final. Oh, we've already beaten PSG. Oh, like people are going to start. The expectation is we need to go into it with the same mentality that we went into the Real Madrid thing, and the team need to go into it with the same mentality on the Real Madrid thing. Any final bits before you want to wrap up today?
Well, Generation Guna says Arsenal 2025 winners. Let's hope that we are posting this. I don't even know when the final is. Is it May or June? Is it? I don't know.
The end of May.
Is the end of May. Well, let's hope we're posting that at the end of May. Not really, Chris. Just want to say it's been incredible. It's been wonderful. This is what life as a football fan is, the complete roller coaster of this season. You couldn't write it. If we'd have said 2-3 months ago, we will beat Real Madrid in both legs and go through to the semi-finals of the Champions League, you and Cooks would have gone to me, "I'll stop being so unrealistic." Not that I even thought it. I'm not even saying that, but you never know. I'm just so proud of our boys, proud of our fans, proud of Arteta and his management, proud of the fact that for once VAR did its job properly, and just over the moon and elated, and we're all going to go into Easter with big smiles on our faces.
Yep, the build up to this Easter weekend has been with big smiles on our faces. I assume at the time of us recording, there'll be an Arteta press conference ahead of Ipswich today, and he'll of course say, that's behind us. Now we focus on Ipswich, which is the right thing to do. But for us fans, we're going to just bask in this a little bit longer, I think. And hopefully you're still basking. Hopefully you've enjoyed the hour and 11 minutes that we've run through and relived the highlights from Wednesday night. The remontada was not on. The remontada is over. But our time in the Champions League continues. From myself and from Amanda, thank you very much for joining us. We're going to catch you next time on the Same Old Arsenal podcast. See you later, guys.
Always Arsenal.